Hi, welcome to Intuitive Parent Evolution. My name is Chrissy, and I am so glad that you found this video, and in fact, a series of videos where I share about my story as a parent with two kids who are different. They're both late talkers and neurodivergent and coming into this world with their own unique gifts and sensitivities, and how I've found my way to accepting who they are and letting them lead and to follow the joy of who they are, which has meant really stepping off a lot of conventional paths and traditional ways of doing and being in this world so I can support them in the ways that they have needed. I am a bridge, and I'm a channel, and I'm an intuitive. And my intention in this video and all of these videos that I'm doing is to say that I see you wherever you are on your journey, whoever your unique child or the children in your lives are, that you're not alone. And I know that may not be your experience so far in this physical world, maybe family and medical professionals or school. Whatever your story is, just please know that you aren't alone. I really wish I had someone to say that to me when I was in the struggle and when I was really in the thick of it. And that's actually a little bit what I'm going to talk about in this video here. Now, if you missed the previous videos, this is actually video 5. So I took you through a little bit about my story and who my kids are and the experiences I went through in supporting them and finding our way from, okay, this is everything I knew and expected about parenting and what it was supposed to be like, and then these are the kids that I got. And I didn't exactly walk from like A to B and being in this place of trust of who my kids are, even if it looks different, even if our way is so different and so unconventional. Like, we are walking into the wilderness. That's what my kids and I and Sean, we do together. Like, we are off the well-paved road at this point. And yet, how did I get there? Like, how did I go from that place of being in fear and walking out of early intervention with Kate to where I am here? Being in that place of fear and uncertainty, I'm just touching back on my own experience right now. And those early years for my kids, when they are 2 and 3 and 4, even 5 years old, and just, you're in this liminal space of not knowing. Again, my experience, all of our beautiful children, they're all different. So this is just me speaking from what I know. It's like we know more of who they aren't sometimes, our kids. Like, I knew that they weren't talking. And I knew that they were incredibly sensitive to emotions and energy. I knew that Eric was very strong-willed, very opinionated without even saying a word. It was just in his presence and being. And I also knew how different they were compared to other children. And especially in those years when they're 2 and 3 and 4, it was like there was this spotlight on everything that they did, and it became this cacophony of red flags. Having a very strong opinion. Most people would say, oh, this child's having a tantrum. And yet, because they already have a language issue, a language challenge, suddenly this regular 2 and 3-year-old tantrum meant something different in the eyes of the professionals that I had experiences with. Like, is there actually something going on? Or is this simply where the child is at developmentally in their brain, like most other kids out there? And it becomes this wall of fear and judgment and opinions that followed me everywhere. And it was like I was living it and breathing it in. And flies. I had more questions than I did answers. And the only thing I could do was to give my kids the time that they needed and to pay attention as their parent, as their mother, and I am the primary caregiver and educator of my kids. So for me to step back and really tune into my intuition and to tune into how they were communicating and speaking to me about their needs and their wants, unmet needs, unmet wants, that was a big part of it. And also who they are. There was no guidebook. There was no guidebook except the one that I felt in my gut, the one I felt to my soul and to the core of my being. And yet, that's a really hard thing to do. To say, I see you, my children. I love you. And I'm going to trust for you to show me the way of your needs. That's really hard, especially in my experience and the parents I've supported so far. Before we can trust our kids, we need to trust ourselves. And that's been very much deconditioned in our society. We're taught to care about degrees, college degrees, medical degrees, accomplishments, and not so much what we feel and our intuition and what our own experiences have informed us. And I don't know about you, but I walked into this door of being a parent, and then I have these kids, and I'm like, okay, they're different. Okay. I'm going to be okay with this. I want to support them, but I'm going to turn to these medical professionals to help me, right? Because they're the professionals. Like, they know what's going on. They know what to do. They know how to help me support my child who's not talking so we can help her to talk and so forth. And yet, what I was met with was honestly a lot of personal trauma through that experience. And breaking down to this point of literally needing to reclaim my power and my voice for my children to say, you medical professionals, you're not listening to me. You are wrong. You are only seeing this list of red flags this check marks, and you're not seeing the full width and breadth of my children. Again, that was just my experience of going into these situations and literally being met with a list of deficits in who my children were. And I don't think once out of those experiences I'm thinking of did those professionals say, wow, like, look what your child can do. Look what they know in this area and this area. Instead, it was just this wall of fear. So, I mean, let's get real. It is fucking scary when you don't know what's wrong with your child, when you don't know what's happening. And then you turn to the professionals and all they give you is a whole lot of fear. And all they are saying is all the ways which your child is wrong. And yet, this is your child who you love unconditionally, like they're part of your soul. And the way they smile, the way they light up with joy and their pure joy of being around you, and how they experience the world, and you see this. And yet you might have had experiences of these professionals and they can't see it. They may even refuse to see it. So what do you do? I mean, I grew up traditional education. I went to college. I have been trained to trust in these professionals, and I literally had to untrain myself of just listening at the drop of a hat and instead listen to myself and to my intuition that I am the expert on my child, my children, right? I'm the one that's with them 24 hours a day. I know them. That leap is like jumping over a ravine of being constantly thrust with fear and the way our world works and how hard it is to be a fairly normal, right, neurotypical person and to do well and to thrive and to be happy and to have the money you need to put food on the table, the shelter, to enjoy this life of ours, right? Like, that is hard on its own. And then we start adding in these differences of who our children are, especially when they're little and they haven't really fully developed and grown into who they are. Like, that is the scariest, hardest time. At 2 and 3 and 4, when you don't quite know, and you might not even know at 6 and 7 who they are growing into. We don't know. And so it's either fear or finding a way into trust. Tell me if any of this sounds familiar. Questions and voices that might be existing in your head right at this moment. Will my child ever learn to talk? When will they talk? Will they ever normalize with their language like the rest of their peers? Will they have friends? Will they be able to hold a job and do well in it and be happy, right? Will they be teased and bullied in school for being different? Will they be okay in 10 years, 20 years? Or am I always going to be in the space of needing to help them? Will they hold a job, be okay on their own? Will they fall in love, whatever that looks like? How many more of those questions are in your mind? I'm sure there's a lot. I know there was for me. And I just wanted to say that I see you. I've been there. I've been in that dark space, and all I could do was see and feel and breathe in fear. That was it. I'd wake up in fear. I'd go to sleep crying. I have 4 months of my memory just gone because I was in fear. All I had was fear. 4 months of my children's life that I don't remember because I was so scared. It is a journey to go from that space to acceptance, to empowerment. I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect. I don't really believe in perfect. I believe it is going to be a journey. I mean, even for me, I'm still in it. I'm still healing from trauma that I've experienced as a parent by medical professionals that I'm looking at and healing and asking, okay, what in me said yes to this? Those are the kind of things that I'm still working through. It's hard and it's scary to shine a light on these questions in our mind. And as hard and scary as it is, I think it is one of the most powerful ways that you can reclaim your power, that you can start to move from fear and into trust and then into joy. You know, our situation is what it is. Like, our kids are who they are, and we can resist that, try to change them, or we can go, okay, this is who you are. How can I help you? How can I support you? Acceptance, accepting this is the child that you got. This is the situation you're in, whatever it is. It can still be hard. It can still be hard, including recording with flies buzzing all around me. It can still be hard. And you can still have acceptance in that too. Like, you can still have those moments of crying and being, oh my gosh, I am so alone. I can't take another step forward. You can still be there at times and yet still have trust and still be in joy. Like, this is what it means to be human, is we can actually hold both. We can be in a paradox and be okay. So as I was saying, the most powerful thing you can do is to ask questions. So all these questions, oh my gosh, where's my child going to be in 10 years? Like, what if they're not talking? What if they don't have any real friends? And like, okay, let's look at that. In your mind, go through and look at that question and be like, no, okay, you tell me what you mean here. Look at that fear. Okay, if in 10 years my child is still not talking, then what? What could that look like? And start extrapolating what that fear you have right now can look like and see where it takes you. And as you do that, and I hope you'll notice that the fear is going to start to lessen. It's like Brene Brown says, of shining a light on our gremlins. When you shine a light on what you're afraid of, its power loosens. Its hold on you begins to loosen. And then, as you start doing that, start adding in the word maybe. My child won't be talking in 10 years. Maybe. And you're starting to shift your frequency, your beliefs, these fear programmings. You're shifting it so slowly, so subtly, from fear and into trust. As I said, it's a journey. It took me a long time to get to this space, and I was doing it completely on my own. I didn't have anyone else to hold my hand, hear my fears, hear my crying, and just say, it's okay. You can feel this, and I've got you. You can feel this, and you are not alone. You are not alone. I want to be able to do that for you on this journey. To hold your hand, however it is that you need of me. To be a guiding light, right? My path, my journey is going to look so different from yours, and yet there's still core resonances that are the same. And the truth is, it can feel very lonely to have your child or a child in your life who is different. And to stand there and hold that difference and say, okay, we're going to still do it anyway. And I'm going to follow you. And I'm going to trust you. That is a very lonely place to be. Physically. For certain, it was for me. And I just wanted to say that you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to stumble quite as much in the dark as I did. I did a lot of stumbling. I did a lot of falling down. And I had no choice but to pick myself up and keep going. And you have the choice of not being alone, because I am here for you. I'm saying I'm here if you need me. If you want to join, we have a Facebook group, Intuitive Parent Evolution, and it is exactly for parents like you. Parents who are in the thick of their life, whatever that is, and they want to be seen. They want a safe place where they can share, where they can turn to for advice. If you like this video, please hit subscribe to this YouTube channel, Intuitive Parent Evolution. And I also have yet another video in this series, and I'm going to share, like, what does it mean to work with me? What are the offerings that I have from coaching and birth chart readings in astrology? And what does that mean for your child and your relationship with them? So I have a lot to offer. Even if some of you are like, hey, I'm going to be into homeschooling soon, I don't know what to do. How do I make that transition and shift? Especially if you want to do something really crazy and radical, like, right, you're jumping off the conventional path fully, and you're doing self-directed learning, and you're like letting your child lead the way. That takes some serious deprogramming and trust to walk that path. Anyway, I am really glad that you're here. I'm excited to work with you, to meet your kid, the children in your life, to see them shine, and you shine too. And my intention is that you don't do this alone, that you don't have to struggle in the dark all by yourself, that you can much easier move from that place of fear to one of joy and trust. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.